wears that damn
white girl with dirty feet.
Oh, it's me favorite.
Howdy, punks and pals. I'm Milky T, and I make tings. And here in America, it is spooky season. That's right, all the witches and pagans and ghosts and ghouls and regular people, they're consuming the spooky media. Whether it's books or movies or telling stories around the campfire, there's many different ways to consume spooky media. But my favorite way is video games. Matter of fact, some of my favorite games are horror games. Or, horror adjacent. So what better way to welcome this season than by making a spooky character from a spooky video game? And the subject for today is Silent Hill.
Do I look like your girlfriend?
No, not that Silent Hill. What do you think, I play good video games or something? No, I'm talking about Silent Hill, the short message. And boy, is that an accurate title. This is a pretty short game. If you could even call it a game, it's more like a cinematic walking simulator about, girls. Don't get me wrong, it deals with some pretty horrific things, but it's hard for me to take the game seriously when every chapter ends with the hotline number.
I know what the number is. I'm depressed. I'm not a moron.
I just didn't find the game all that appealing. The chase bits for me weren't really scary, just kind of annoying. Plus, look at the way this girl walks. I get what she's supposed to represent, but she's not really all that creepy. More creepy cute, if anything. And you might be asking, Milky, why are you doing something from a year-old game that you don't even like that much? Why not do something from Silent Hill F? Because don't wanna. I like Sakura head and I want to make her, so let's get into it. I start off with a wire and foil armature. And I had a base connected to the bottom, but I eventually removed that because it wasn't working for me. It was just getting in the way. I'm still getting a hang of this whole making figures that can stand on their own business. I build up little muscly bits, trying to get that shape right. Legs always seems like they're pretty straightforward to do, and then I start making them and I find myself struggling. But it's the only semblance of a human body part that you see on this creature, so I really wanted to get it just right. Feet! I was pretty grateful that this character had socks on. I'm not super talented at sculpting feet, and shoes are a whole nother story. I do regret not making her stilt twigs a little longer. Mine turned out way shorter than the actual reference. Then I work on the jacket where all the Sakura will be shoved inside. Left a little gap so that I could stuff air dry clay in there. Does anybody else struggle with wrinkles and your camera staying in focus? Because I do. Every day. I wrapped a string around the clothes and then baked it that way so that it would leave an impression and a guide basically for where I would put the strings. I was pretty worried it would make it look messy, but it turned out half decent in the end. I really like all the sticks all over her body. That makes her look like a scarecrow. I don't know, I just thought it was a cool design choice. I really wanted to get those puffy sleeves down. I think I made them a little bigger than they are in the reference, but I really wanted them like poofy and kind of hanging drapey. And the only thing holding them on is liquid Sculpey. I slap on some white paint, which I had retouched several times throughout the project, not gonna lie. Then I stuck air dry clay right into the jacket so that all the flowers would stick to it with just a little bit of glue and not much else. And now it's time to start painting everything. For the wood, I went with a kind of cherry wood color, kind of that deep red and kind of dark tones. I assume that's what her little tree bits are made out of. I painted the legs pink on the first layer because something undertones. I don't know, I just kind of wanted it to have a pink hue, so I did it in pink initially. And it turned out pretty good actually. I definitely got the tone that I wanted with the fleshy bits of the leg. if you want to call them that. I go over the legs and jacket with shadows and highlights and just adding the fun little details. I went with a pink hue because of this drawing by Masahiro Ito that just looked fantastic. I don't know, the pink. I went with just sewing thread for the rope because I didn't want it to be so thick that it didn't fit inside the guide that I made. So I just did layers and layers of thread so that I could get in all the little nooks and crannies that I created for myself. I made the nooks the way that they were. I created my own problem that I then had to solve. But, you know, it worked out pretty well. It was a lot of gluing and pressing and straightening out all this crazy thread. I just wrapped the whole frame in the back and then cut the strings where the cherry blossoms would pop out. And then I just covered that leg in glue and got that on there nice and snug, kind of. And now it's time for the part that I was kind of dreading, but also excited about, because this is the most important part. Tiny flowers. Hundreds of them. At first I just made individual little flowers and put them together, and then I didn't like the way that I did those flowers, so I decided to do a different method and make it look different. And then I didn't like those flowers either because it wasn't fast enough. So I ended up having to put little drops of clay on there and just kind of cutting everything up right there with my blade and making the general shapes. So it's a menagerie mix of everything. I painted brown in between some of the petals to make it look like the branches, and also highlighted the insides. And then I added petals to the rest of her body. A little crisscross applesauce. Made a base, pinned her into the base, and glued her down, and then I started making all the little notes that you see in the game. But I didn't want to do the ones from the game because it was basically just the same thing over and over again, kind of negative stuff. And I know that's the point. He's like, Milky, you're missing the point. Yeah, but this is my project, and I'm gonna put memes, quotes from movies, and some of the people who come and hang out with me on my live chats. I think that's a much better use of my time, and I get to laugh whenever I look at it instead of, I don't know, the other thing. I did keep one particular note from the actual game because I think it's a funny word and it makes me laugh. And here's the final result. I'm pretty excited about this one. She does a pretty good job standing up on her own despite being held together with super glue and pins. I just really like those details of the sticks that are kind of holding her back and restricting her. That's enough out of me. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye. Oh, fuck.